This is Europe in the 1700s. Guess what? There were no nation states like we have today. What we now call Italy or Germany or Switzerland were just scattered regions ruled by kings, dukes, and emperors. They didn't share a common identity, language, or culture. They were all different. Sounds confusing, right? So, how did all these places become countries that we know today? Let's explore the incredible story of how nationalism was born in Europe. Welcome back to my channel. Today, we are continuing with our class 10th history chapter 2, The Rise of Nationalism in Europe. We will cover the making of nationalism in Europe, the aristocracy and the middle class, what did liberal nationalism stand for. Let's begin by taking a closer look at the Habsburg Empire, one of the biggest examples of this mixed population, language and culture. It ruled over a huge area called Austria-Hungary, but the people there were really different from each other. In the Alps, people spoke German. In places like Lombardy and Venetia, they spoke Italian. In Hungary, half the people spoke Magyar, and the rest spoke a lot of different dialects. In Galicia, the rich people spoke Polish, and there were many more groups too, like Bohemians, Slovaks, Slovenes, Croats, and Romans, all with their own language and cultures. So what held them all together? Just one thing. They all followed the same emperor. But that wasn't enough to create a strong feeling of unity. So here's the big question. How did all these different groups eventually come together to form modern countries? Let's rewind a bit and step into the 18th century Europe. Socially and politically, the most powerful people were part of a class called the landed aristocracy. Now that's a fancy name, but what does it mean? These were rich landowners who had huge estates in the countryside and fancy houses in towns. They weren't just powerful in one place. They had a lifestyle that spread across countries. And guess what? They all spoke French when doing business or socializing, because French was the cool language of the elite back then. Their families often married into each other, keeping their wealth and power connected. But here's the thing. This aristocracy was actually a very small group. Most people were peasants, ordinary farmers. In the West, farmers usually owned small plots or rented land. But in Eastern and Central Europe, it was very different. Huge estates were worked by serfs, who were kind of like farm laborers tied to the land with very few rights. Then came industrialization. In England, factories and machines began popping up in the late 1700s. But in France and the German states, it didn't happen until the 1800s. And with these changes, new groups of people started rising up. The working class, factory workers and laborers, and the middle class, people like businessmen, industrialists, and professionals. Now, these middle class folks were often educated, and many of them believed in liberty, equality, and national unity. They wanted to get rid of the old privileges held by the aristocrats and build modern, fairer nations. The idea of freedom and fairness, called liberalism, helped people to understand the importance of sharing common identity and lay the roots of nationalism, which shaped the idea of modern Europe. But what is liberalism? The word liberalism comes from the Latin word liber, which means free. In the early 1800s, the new middle class, like businessmen and professionals, wanted freedom for individuals and equality before the law. That's what liberalism meant to them. Politically, they wanted a government chosen by the people, not kings or emperors. End of unfair royal and religious privileges. A written constitution and a parliament to represent the people's voice. Sounds good, right? Well, it wasn't perfect. In revolutionary France, they did try out democracy, but only wealthy men who owned property could vote. And women? No political rights. Poor men? Also left out. Only for a short time during the rules of the Jacobins did all men get to vote. But that didn't last long. Later, under Napoleon, voting rights were limited again, and women were legally treated like minors who had to obey their fathers or husbands. But liberalism wasn't just about politics, it was also about economics. The middle class believed in free trade, no unnecessary rules or taxes, open markets, No state interference in buying and selling. Let's take an example. The German-speaking regions in the early 1800s. Back then, there were 39 different small states. Each one had its own currency, different weights and measures, custom duties, taxes at every border. Imagine being a merchant in 1833, traveling from Habsburg to Nuremberg. You will have to stop at 11 checkpoints and pay 5% tax at each one. Even worse, every town measured cloth differently. In Frankfurt, 1L equals to 54.7 centimeter. In Nuremberg, 1L equals to 65.6 centimeter. Total confusion. This was a huge headache for traders and it slowed down business. So what did they do? In 1834, the state of Prussia took the lead and helped form the Zollverein, or custom union. This was a big step forward. It got rid of all the custom barriers. It reduced the number of currency from 30 plus to just 2. And later, railways helped goods and people move faster. All of this helped boost trade, make the economy stronger, and most importantly, it brought the idea of national unity closer. Friedrich List, a professor of economics in Germany in the 1800s, had some big ideas about how countries could grow strong, not just economically, but politically too. He said, "We must unite economically to become a strong nation. If people work together, feel connected, they'll also start thinking of themselves as one German people." So economic unity was the first step towards national unity. Now, what political goals did List want to achieve through economic changes? He believed uniting the economy by removing trade barriers and working together, it will help unite the German people. A strong economy would protect the nation from outside threats. More money, more strength, more safety. He wanted people in different German regions to stop thinking only about their own local interest and start thinking like one big team, the German nation. Stop acting like 39 tiny towns. Let's act like one powerful country. He believed that when people work, trade, and grow together, they also start to feel proud of being part of the same country. That's called national sentiment or nationalism, a feeling of love and loyalty to your nation. Let's recap. Today, we learned Europe wasn't always made up of countries, just small kingdoms. Nationalism grew through the middle class, economy, and ideas of freedom. Economic unity came before political unity. That's it for today. You can find the notes next. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell icon so you never miss another history adventure. Until next time, stay curious and remember, revolutionary ideas can change the world. Thank you.